Hi friends, welcome to Read Aloud today. We are on Thursday, so that means we only have one more Pete book after today. Today we're going to be reading Pete the Cat and the Bedtime Blues. So let's go over our parts of the book first. Remember, this is the front cover, spine, back cover. On the front cover, there's three important things. Number one, the title, which is the name of the book. Number two, the author, which is the person that writes the words. He came up with a story. And number three, the person that draws the pictures, the illustrator. So the author and illustrator are Kimberly and James Dean. Remember, this week we're focusing on the words character and setting. So let's pay close attention to who the characters in this story are and where the setting is. Here is the title page. Remember, it has the title again and the author and illustrator. Pete and the gang had a great day. They'd been at the beach, surf and sun, and tons of fun. So we have sun, fun, sun. Those rhyme. Oh, see, we already have some more characters, Pete and the gang. So the gang must be the platypus, the frog, the alligator, and this tiny little bird. That's on Pete's surfboard. But when the sun went down, they didn't want the fun to end. Pete had an idea. He had a light bulb idea. So right now, the setting is the beach at sunset. So that's the evening. Hey, how about a sleepover? More time for tons of fun. Groovy. Pete's place, let's go. The party was far out, but they knew they couldn't stay up all night. The gang decided it was time to say good night. On went the pajamas and out went the light. Good night, Gus. Good night, alligator. Good night, Toad. Good night, Pete. So they're all going to sleep. Pete was just about to catch some Z's. That means he was about to fall asleep. When clap, clap, clap. Who did that? Pete asked. It was me, said Grumpy Toad. I don't want to go to bed. I want to clap instead. So we have bed instead, bed. Those rhyme. Pete covered his head. So we also have head, bed, head, instead, head. All those are rhyming. This cool cat needs to go to bed. Good night, Gus. Good night, alligator. Good night, Toad. Good night, Pete. Time to sleep. Pete tried again to catch some Z's when rat-a-tat-tat. Who did that? Pete asked. It was me, said Gus the platypus. I don't want to go to bed. I want to jam instead. Pete covered his head. This cool cat needs to go to bed. Time to sleep. Good night, Gus. Good night, alligator. Good night, Pete. Pete closed his eyes to catch some Z's when he heard a munch, munch, munch. Pete had a hunch. It was alligator. He was always up for eating. What could Pete do? All the clapping, rat-a-tat-tatting, and munching was giving him the bedtime blues. Pete had a groovy idea. The bedtime blues, I always get frustrated when I'm super tired and people don't let me go to sleep. He got out his favorite bedtime story and started to read, first to himself and then to the gang. Pete noticed it was finally quiet. No more clapping, no more rat-a-tat-tatting, and no more munching. They all settled down. No one made a sound. Sound, down, down, sound. Pete yawned and turned off the light. Good night. Sleep tight. Time to catch some Z's. Tight, light, light, tight. Tomorrow was another day for surfing, sun, and tons of fun. The end. All right, so we do have several characters in this book. Let's look and see if we can find some characters. Could you tell me one character from this book? Let me hear your character. Yeah, that is a character. I know we have Pete because this book is about Pete the cat, but we also have the gang. We have Toad and Alligator and Platypus and the little birdie that stays with them. But I want to ask you a question. Who is the main character in this story? The main character, the most important character. Who is it? That's right. It's Pete the cat. It's Pete the cat because the story is mainly about him. The other characters are important, but not as important as Pete. All right, let's also talk about the setting. So, somebody tell me, what is setting again? What does that mean? What does the setting of a book mean? That's right, where the story takes place. This story takes place in a couple of different places. The first one we talked about was the beach at sunset because it was about to leave, but also they were at the beach during the daytime, surfing out in the ocean. Then they went into Pete's house, and this looks like Pete's bedroom. He has a bed right there. So that's also part of the setting. This part of the story is happening in Pete's bedroom at night, and night is also part of the setting because it's definitely not morning. That wouldn't make sense because this story is about them going to bed at night. So the bedroom is part of the setting, the beach, the ocean, the nighttime, and the sunset. All right. Thank you for joining me today.